must have just seen them when they were driving down the street, and then out of nowhere, they bam, 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 he shot like 3 times. And then I see the gun flash come out the window, and it's getting on, both cars.
This is Daniel, a homeless man I met while investigating an area called the most dangerous square mile in America by the Daily Mail. Is it really that bad? I decided to find out.
We've ensured that all of your valuables are secure. The owner of this property is not responsible for any theft or vandalism. Thank you for visiting Hagenberger Shell.
Friday, Saturday, like the weekend, that's when it gets really, really active and very, very dangerous.
Hey guys, so just to give you some context on what this video is actually about, the story first came to my attention towards the end of January from this Daily Mail article. Those of you who read the news a lot, you know, you can take the Daily Mail with a grain of salt, but there's actually a lot of good details in this article, and this is what got me onto the story. And the headline is this the most dangerous square mile in America? Crime hotspot in Oakland where gas stations and In-N-Out are hit by brazen car thieves dozens of times every day, but cops say they are powerless to stop it. 3 gas stations within a single square mile near Oakland Airport are struck a dozen times or more every day by brazen vehicle thieves, according to police. But cops told DailyMail.com they are powerless to halt the crime because they are classed as non-violent, and added that the situation is worse than ever. Vehicle thefts have risen 50% in Oakland, with 13,000 incidents reported in 2023, leading some officers to criticize the city's progressive crime policies. By Louis Pennick. So this video isn't going to be about the politics of why this crime is happening. I'm more interested in the claim of, is this the most dangerous square mile in America? Just to give you some more context here, this is Google Earth. This is the United States, obviously. If we go over here, here's California. And if you zoom in, here's the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm from the East Bay. Here's Oakland. There's San Francisco. This is the Oakland Airport right here. And this square mile that they're talking about in this news article and others, if you search for it on Google, is this area right here. This is Hagenberger Road, and it's actually a 2.5 mile road that connects the airport to the BART station over here. BART is Bay Area Rail Transit. It's like the Bay Area's public train transportation system. And they're talking about this area right here. So I took BART and I walked the whole length of this supposedly most dangerous road or square mile in America with my camera, and I filmed what was happening and I interviewed people, and we'll jump into that in a second. But before I do, a little more context. This is a household income map of Oakland, and you can see that the red is lower income areas. You can see downtown Oakland, there's some low income areas there, but really a lot of the low income residential areas are right here, right between the airport, and this is Hagenberger Road right here. So it's not only people at local gas stations that are being robbed, it's also the customers of local businesses in Hagenberger, which has led to many businesses either closing down or leaving the area, including this Walmart in 2016, and more recently, the first In-N-Out to ever shut down in the nation just left a few months ago. It's right next to this Walmart, and you can just see there's nothing here now. You can show the boarded up windows over there. Yeah, so this is the closed In-N-Out behind me. And if you look around at the parking lot here, the fences, just a bunch of fencing up around the parking lot. And it looks like a few random security guards, and that's it. Next to the highway. And it's just kind of a weird vibe. And in front of pretty much every business in Hagenberger, there's signs like this. This is in the Walmart parking lot, and the Walmart hasn't been here in about 8 years. So I don't know when this sign went up, but literally every business has a sign like this in front. You can see businesses that have closed, boarded up store next to the subway. You can see if if you pan towards the parking lot, they fenced up the parking lot here. And if you actually come around this way here, you can see there's a T-Mobile and some other stores, but there's also more closed businesses behind me. And if you pan to the right here, that's a Raising Cane's chicken finger store, but it looks like they've gone drive-through only as well. These are two of the most notorious gas stations in Hagenberger, where people get robbed over 10 times a day, and they have some of the worst Google reviews I've ever seen in my life, with every single top review telling people not to go there and sharing their own stories about how they got robbed. This is also where I met Daniel, who was asking for money in the middle of the intersection, and he shared some of his stories with me. There's like 10 car break-ins a day here, like people bipping windows and stuff. Is that?
I've seen like one time I was on that island, and she looking like a normal, kind of like a normal lady. You probably see her in one of the hair shops or something.
Yeah.
She jumped out and walked into the car like with hers and jumped back in the car and left. She didn't break the window out.
Was that shooting you told me about? Do you think that was like gangs, or what do you think that was about?
I have no idea. Nobody was outside the car. It was just two. They must have just seen them when they were driving down the street, and then out of nowhere, bam, he shot like 3 times. And then I see the gun flash come out the window, and it's kept going. Both cars.
Next, I headed up the street to the 54-year-old Denny's restaurant that had just shut down because of employee and customer safety concerns from the company. Today, it's just a boarded up husk flanked by a homeless community and chickens. That's where I met Oriana, a homeless mother of 3. She grew up in a foster home in Sacramento and moved to Oakland 15 years ago. She spent a lot of time in Hagenberger and shared what the biggest problem with the area was from her perspective and possible solutions.
Friday, Saturday, like the weekend, that's when it gets really, really active and very, very dangerous. The problem is really in the youth generation. But see, the youth generation wouldn't be like that if, you know, the older people wasn't setting that example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's say if I was out here and I have a teenager, but I was out here being reckless and wild and stuff, I'm not setting a good example. So really, in all actuality, the parents got to put their foot down and set an example. I think, honestly, if you're not taking that time out to, you know, really acknowledge the child and their behavior and then explain, there's not gonna be no improvement. They're gonna be out here wild. You gotta actually like show that you can. They really need love. they need their parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So guys, that was a really positive message, but the question still remains: is Hagenberger the most dangerous square mile in America? And the answer is it's not. It's a crime hotspot, specifically for theft, which is why so many of those businesses are closing down. But the Hagenberger area is really a more industrial, commercial area. And what you see is if you look at any crime graph of Oakland, most of the really violent crime is happening in the residential areas. And that matches what the vibe was like walking around. It was fairly empty. I was basically the only person walking around on the sidewalk. There was a fully naked man in this parking lot, but that's par for the course for the Bay Area. And look, I'll be fair to the Daily Mail. In the headline, they asked the question, is this the most dangerous square mile in America? But the trouble is underneath, they have a graph that plainly states the most dangerous square mile in America and shows Hagenberger. So it's a bit of an argument over semantics. And the other side of this coin is that while there's not as many shootings in Hagenberger or murders, there are a lot of carjackings and burglaries. And it's up to debate about whether that's considered violent or non-violent crime. But at the end of the day, I consider a murder or a shooting to be much more violent than robbery or even a carjacking.
All of your valuables are secure. The owner of this property is not responsible for any theft or vandalism. Thank you for visiting Hagenberger Shell. Please ensure that all of your valuables are secure. The owner of this property is not responsible for any theft or vandalism. Thank you for visiting Hagenberger Shell. Please ensure that all of your valuables are secure. The owner of this property is not responsible for any theft or vandalism. Thank you for visiting Hagenberger Shell.